I was going to do a whole video on YouTube on making eclairs, for the first time. And I have an old book from Betty Crocker and a new book from Betty Crocker. But this was something that my mom made and my wife loved. And so her birthday's coming up. I wanted to make it. So this is the first step that was really just a cup of water, a stick of margarine, bring that to a boil, and then you throw in a cup of flour and a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. Mix it until a ball forms. Now I've got to add 4 eggs. Okay, I've added the second egg and it's starting to look more yellow, but I got to incorporate this all. I got 2 more eggs to go. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, I just got done mixing 4 eggs in here. This is definitely an arm workout, so eat your Wheaties before you start. But this is pretty thick. I mean, it's a pretty heavy wooden spoon and it's just about sticking up. But it's a nice smooth consistency. The newer cookbook tells you to put all 4 eggs in at once. I kind of liked doing the 1 egg at a time, as the old Betty Crocker book said, because I think it would just make a mess as you're trying to incorporate the eggs in here. Doing 4 at once would make a mess. So now I've got to do I'm going to do a makeshift, I'm not going to do cream puffs, I'm going to do eclairs. And I got to do a makeshift pastry bag. It says, well, actually one book says greased pan, the other one says ungreased, so I'm going to go parchment paper. And I'm going to make these about 1 inch wide and 3 inches long. I think I should get 12 or so. Oh no, 1.5 dozen. So I might need a second, sheet tray. We'll see. Okay, here's my makeshift pastry bag. I just got a gallon Ziploc that has the sharper corners instead of pleated ones. And I think one thing my mother didn't have was a silicone spatula, so it helps you get everything out of there. So now we'll just close this up, cut out one of the corners, and we'll be able to begin piping it over here. Here's one of the other bags that I didn't think was going to work as well because it's pleated. So I didn't use this one. I found one that didn't have the pleat, so I can get a nice corner and then cut that off. Okay, here is the dough, or whatever you call it, on cookie sheets. I had a little bit extra, so I made a couple round ones. So now it goes into a what they call a hot oven for, very, very hot oven, 450. I'm at 400. I gotta change that. Okay, so I got 450 set now. So I'll put these in as soon as it reaches temperature. So you go 450 for 15 minutes and then 325 for 25 minutes. So I guess it, I don't know, puffs up with the eggs and everything. It puffs it up quick and then finishes cooking it slowly so it doesn't burn. We'll see. Wish me luck. Okay, the eclairs aren't raising as much as I had hoped. But maybe I didn't put enough. Maybe it makes mini ones. I did the 3 inches and they're looking like they're rising, but we'll see how airy they are when we cut into them. And while they're cooking, they're almost done. I made the cream filling out of the new book, and it was interesting because you basically started a bigger sauce pot and you put sugar and cornstarch and salt, then you add 2 cups of milk and you boil that till it thickens. And then in a separate thing, I had 2 egg yolks only. And then you take half of this hot mixture after it's thickened and you put it in with the eggs and you mix it. Then you put this mixture back in here and you boil it again. And then when you're done, you take it off and mix some butter and some vanilla. So now it's done and it has to cool. So I put it in this smaller container so I can now stick it in the fridge. Okay, timer just went off. Here's what they look like. They're kind of golden brown. They're nice and light. but they're really small, so hopefully they're still nice and airy, and I just made mini ones. We'll see after they cool when I try to cut them. Okay, here's the moment of truth. I just cut my first one, and when you remove the top, oh, it looks pretty good. Maybe not as puffed up as it could be, but I think I'll take it. It was a little denser than it should be down the bottom. They're just little baby ones. Okay, I skipped a couple of steps, but here's the final eclair view. What I did was, after I cooled the custard some in the fridge, and then these were still kind of warm, I cut them so that I could get all the lids off. And then what I did is I filled them with the custard, and then I put the lids on, and then I didn't use the Betty Crocker recipe. I just got our good old Hershey's cocoa and the perfectly chocolate frosting, and I have that recipe there. So it was just a half a stick of butter, a third a cup of cocoa, and I have everything there. But I followed the directions on here for the icing, and that turned out well. I had a little bit of extra icing that I put aside. I didn't have enough custard. There were two other little smaller ones. These are almost like cream puff size, but I had four left that I didn't have enough for more custard to go in it. So that was, and this one probably is one of the lesser filled. It's hard to gauge how much you need to fill it when you first start, but they turned out pretty well, and I think it was fun making it. It was a little tedious having to constantly stir the custard mix, and you have to go back into the 2 egg yolks and then mix it back again, and so there's some constant stirring involved and some timing involved. And I definitely think it's better to have the chocolate frosting warm, and it goes on here better, and you can kind of move it around with a spoon to ice them. And now all I have to do is eat them. So hopefully you enjoyed. You can try your own hand at making eclairs. I think next time I would probably make them a little bigger. So, I mean, these are probably a nice size though, 4 bites maybe. Maybe it won't be as messy. So we'll have to experiment.